everyone for joining us on this webinar brought to you by the Ethical Hacker Network, a free online magazine and community for security professionals. During today's very timely webinar, we'll find that the old phrase, follow the money, is alive and well. Well, be that for business or politics or crime in this case, this is a common method of trying to find out who's involved and their motivations. In the world of cybercrime, bad actors use cryptocurrencies for that innate security offered by the blockchain and the supposed anonymity that comes with it. But, as with any investigation, if you look hard enough, there's always breadcrumbs left behind. Somehow, some way, there's always a paper or electronic trail back to a human in the real world. And our guest today is the author of Investigating Cryptocurrencies, Understanding, Extracting, and Analyzing Blockchain Evidence. And he is here to offer an eye-opening presentation with live demos.
Or good evening from where I am. I've been doing InfoSec stuff for about 20 years, primarily digital investigations for about the last 15 years. A lot of my work is to law enforcement, increasingly corporate investigations as well, pretty much everywhere. When it comes to cryptocurrencies, there is a certain level of anonymity associated with cryptocurrencies, which makes it very difficult. But actually, we can still use similar processes that we do in standard forensic investigations. OSINT, for example, open source intelligence gathering. Forensics to be able to gather keys, we're going to talk about that in a minute, in order to be able to still carry out a successful investigation. So that's what we're sort of going to try and get across to your listeners today. There are about 2,000 cryptocurrencies in the world trading at the moment. And they all say they're slightly different. So the first thing we can see is there are 4 transactions associated with this address. Now, that may not sound like many, but these attackers will be using many different addresses. And when they've had success with one, they'll kill it and they'll be moving on to other addresses. So that's not unusual. So we get all the data back in JSON. We see the address, there's 4 transactions, the total received in Satoshis, which is the tiny subset of a Bitcoin, the total sent, the final balance, and then we actually get a breakdown of each transaction. So here's a really simple bit of Python, and all it's doing is asking for an address file. It reads each line of that address file and does a lookup for the balance of that address. Super simple. We can then say to these addresses, show me the transactions where they were inputs to those addresses. And we get more transactions. We can then select all of these transactions and say, you've guessed it, show me all the source addresses for those transactions.
So with that, thank you so much for joining us today. Thank you, Nick. It was a lot of fun. We'll let you go and we'll see you next month.